we want entrepreneurial mindset, but not too much. That's what we do in Pluggy. So we let any person connect their financial bank account to their favorite apps.
The worst day working for yourself is better than the best day working for someone else.
Something that makes my passion is to build new things. I mean, it's something that I wake up in the morning and okay, yeah, I'm building something new. If I was working in a corporate, I think I'll be miserable.
Welcome to Venture Ahead. It's a series of podcasts recorded by IE University. These were recorded in Porto Alegre in Brazil at the 4th edition of the South Summit. We got to speak to people who had done keynotes, former IE students. We got to speak to people who were on panels, people that we just met and found interesting. Do this at each of the South Summits because it's a great opportunity to talk to some of the people. So thank you for getting this far. Listen to the end and let us know what you think. Hello there, and this is Professor Joe Haslam, as I like to call myself, from IE University, and we're here at South Summit in Porto Alegre, and we are speaking to a number of people who are here at the conference with us, some speakers that have been on the main stage, and then kind of old friends, and I think Bruno comes into the category of old friends because, of course, he is an IE alumnus, 2016, thereabouts. So that's sort of like coming up to your 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, next year.
So my friends in the global alumni will want me to promote. I hope you're promoting it among your class, and we'll see you at your 10-year reunion. I did an MBA 22 years ago, so we had our 10-year and then our 20-year one. So they're well worth doing, and everyone is. It's funny, everyone is really like pressurized. 10 years, like who's kind of really made it. And by 20, everyone is just like, has been through all sorts of stuff. And everyone is just, huggy. And, there's no tension between kind of who's doing better. So that the 10-year can be quite competitive still. But the 20-year one is really great. And then we're going to talk about your entrepreneurial life. So just a bit about, like, I guess your memories of the IMBA and what it was like why you picked IE in the first place and what you liked about it when you came.
Yeah, sure, Joe. First, thanks for having me here. I mean, here in Porto Alegre is really nice to get with the IE community, talk to old colleagues and meet people. So it's great. About IE, I've decided I entered in 2016. I started the international MBA, and 2 years before, I was already looking for a master. The MBA was like the what I wanted to do because I already had opened 3 different companies in the past, so I was already an entrepreneur, and I lived in Spain in 2003. I fell in love with Spain, so. Spain, and also an MBA that was focused on entrepreneurship. For me, it was like, okay, this is the perfect timing. And then analyzing all IE material and all the content about entrepreneurship, I said, look, I have to do this. So I've decided to go to Spain, which was one of the best decisions I made in terms of my personal life. I mean, Madrid it's a great city. It was also my professional life. I think was a good time for me to stop working. I mean, to think again what I was going to do on my career. And that year was a perfect time to think about it and to decide what I wanted. In the end, I wanted to do the same thing. I mean, build new things,
You stayed in Madrid for a while afterwards.
Yeah, I stayed.
It was interesting.
5 years in total.
Yeah.
I got married there, so my wife and I decided, okay, let's look for jobs here because we just love the lifestyle of Madrid. And it was enough after the MBA, found a job right away. In a startup, from New York called Movin', which was a great experience, and also this experience at Movin' actually brought me to
that
build my own
happens.
company.
I always tell students before you start a startup, work in a startup. Yeah, just to understand the rhythm of it and things like that. Otherwise, it can be a big sort of culture shock. That actually experience does matter in entrepreneurship. That if you started too early, while it's being fearless is a good thing, also being experienced is a very good thing. So and you find that an awful lot of the successful entrepreneurs have been through, in the same way that the US has the PayPal mafia, we have the Glovo mafia and the job and talent mafia, and companies that have like learned to do extraordinary things, in scale up companies. You're literally told it's like open the shop on Friday, and like if you're working for like Unilever or Procter and Gamble, like that would never happen. So and when you see what you can achieve, you can then eventually you think, well, why don't I do it myself?
Yeah. And it was fun because right after I graduated at IE, I started to look for jobs to stay in Spain. So I had a few interviews with some corporations, and those corps normally in the job title and job description, it said, okay, I want entrepreneurial mindset, blah blah blah. And every time I went there, and for the interviews, I had like two feedbacks. Okay, we want entrepreneurial mindset, but not too much. What I did is, look, I want to work with a startup, a more mature startup, let's say, because I want to get this knowledge of how to work in a super fast-paced environment. And I liked it, and I decided to found my own company in that.
Okay, I love the name of it, by the way. So it's like tell me about the word. I mean, it seems kind of obvious, but talk to me about like what other names you considered and what you ended up with in the end.
Yeah, in the end, I mean, I brought this idea of what is Pluggy now to the venture lab, and by then we had the name Let, but it was like. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it describes quite well what you do.
That's right. That's right. So the name fit perfectly, and we registered the name like 1.5 years before we actually started the company. So, Pluggy. I think it tells a little bit what we do. So it's a short name. It's.
So I mean, this is an actual company then that like even it had its origin on the campus of IE,
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a real, because what we often say that the venture lab process, creates entrepreneurs rather than companies, meaning that what you learn as in the venture lab, the company you learn it within the venture lab is not the company then you go on to do, right? But it's necessary to do it it's necessary to like fall out with your founders before you realize that you have to be very careful who you found companies with.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
And it's, a lot of those kind of things, because entrepreneurship is definitely not color by numbers. It's definitely not do this, and everything happens. It's actually more a question of what comes back against you to push you back rather than what you need to do to move forward.
Yeah.
It's, thinking about it now, and that's a kind of a thing you have to experience. So talk to me about your co-founders then. Who are they, and how did you find them?
Right. When I had this idea, I brought to the venture lab by myself. I was like a solo entrepreneur, but it was just like I said. I applied to the venture lab because I saw that was a great opportunity to how can I make this take this out of the paper, out of my mind, and do the basics to build a startup. To find a co-founder, for example, I didn't have any co-founder or anyone that actually I was thinking of by the time. So I did validation by myself. I had this idea in my mind that I couldn't take it off. So I started, instead of launching my new company, I wanted to actually bring some new companies from Europe to Brazil.
Yeah.
And then I have a good friend of mine who's really good on finance. And I started to talk to him about the idea, and he did this business plan, this big Excel with, he's like the Excel master. And I started to pitch it to these companies in Europe. They all liked the idea, but they didn't want to invest, right? It wasn't part of their plan to go to Brazil right away. So, and then I told this guy, look, let's do this. I mean, let's try it. He was working at PwC by that time. And he said, look, I'll help. I have my job, but I'll help whatever you need, right? So we applied to a acceleration program in the central bank in Brazil. They have like this startup, so sandboxes for you to connect there, and it was pretty cool. We applied there, and we were approved. And we didn't have a product, we didn't have anything, but we were approved with the idea. Then I told this guy, I said, look, if you want to join, you have to join now, but 100%. You have to quit your job, otherwise it will be really hard.
All in.
All in, yeah, that's right. And then my other partner, I found when I was actually doing an interview in Barcelona with a company there, and right in the first minute when I was talking to the CEO of this company, he told me that like 5 minutes, I already told my idea, what I wanted to do in Brazil, blah, blah, blah. And said, look, my best engineer here just left my company and went to Argentina to do exactly what we're doing. But he's like really good developer, really good engineer, but he lacks a little bit of the business side. And said, look, you guys have to partner together. So I called this guy in Argentina. I was in Barcelona. I was in Madrid. And we started to build Pluggy. So I've met this partner of mine like 1.5 years after we found the company. Because it was COVID and everything else. But it was.
I mean, and that's every company has an origin story. You know, every company has something like that. But it's very often like you find people in the places you least expect. So okay, so. I mean, this is my 4th year to come to Porto Alegre, and you know, and I've also been to Sao Paulo and Rio, but I'm learning a lot about, you know, what I call Brazil's open finance policies and things like that. I mean, it's a great amusement to me that, you know, Argentina, everything is in cash, and, you know, and just up the road is basically Brazil, where the cash has disappeared, you know. So what are Brazil doing that makes it a good place to have a fintech?
Great. First of all, when I came from Spain, 2021, since I came, I never used cash. Never. For 4 years now, and I never used cash, only paying with cards or Pix, which is the instant payment from Brazil. But answering your question, Brazil has the central bank of Brazil, which normally you think about the central bank, you think about really this.
The only thing I know is the Netflix movie about robbing the Brazilian central bank. That's my entire knowledge of it.
And actually, they are like really great minds in the central bank, and they've built this central bank agenda in terms of financial inclusion, using technology, giving more credit, and everything else. So the first thing that they built was Pix, which is the instant payment. It's one of the biggest in the world right now. I think only India has a bigger volume of instant payments, but they are like 1.4 billion people. So on average, a Brazilian do more than 30 transactions via Pix per month, which is way more than India, for example. That's like 1 or 2. So as I said, you visit here, you probably saw Pix everywhere. Some people asking for money on the street, they have a QR code. That's crazy. And that put a lot of people in the financial system, which is great. So for instance, there's 70 million people in Brazil did their first digital transfer using Pix. So 70. It's a lot of people. We're 220 million people. So that means that a lot of people was brought to the financial system, which is super important for the next steps to give credit and everything else. And also here in Brazil, led by the central bank, the Open Finance Project means you can share your financial data with anyone you want. Like basically says like, look, Joe, it's your data. You can do whatever you want. Because prior to that, the banks hold to themselves because, well, it's a really important asset for the bank to have this data, right? So now they can share. And that's what we do in Pluggy. So we let any person connect their financial bank accounts to their favorite apps, you know?
Okay.
So we basically provide the infra technology to that. And so
Just before you move on, I'm always interested in business models. So how exactly does that happen? So do they download? So I have a bank and I have my data in the bank, and somebody has like, is it a supplier or some sort of tell me just exactly what happens and who pays who.
okay, perfect. So in order to share your data,
Yeah.
you can share it through a company that is regulated by the central bank. For example, Pluggy, we have a license with the central bank.
Okay.
So we can provide this infrastructure in a safe way so final users can connect. So how does it work? So let's say you have a new app, a financial app, or you want credit, whatever, and they say, do you want to share your data? And if you click yes, you are redirected to your bank in a standard way. So every bank has to put this journey, and you approve there in your bank, and then the API connected. So we are like the bridge that brings this.
Okay, and how does who gets paid and who?
Right, I do. It's a B2B.
Yeah.
So we charge basically our clients on a usage page. So the more connections, the more bank account connected, the more I earn. So it's the fair
B2B app. Then.
It's a B2B SaaS, yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's a platform, yeah.
So and how many employees do you have?
We have 18 right now, which is basically like half of them are developers and the other half on sales, marketing, administration.
And what do you see? Are you aware that you need to get bigger? Like, are you kind of happy with the size you're in, or how do you see that?
Well, yeah, we always want
to get
bigger, right?
It's a huge round of money, and how do you see?
Yeah, we are in right now. We raised a seed round in 2021 when VC was booming.
Yeah.
Which gave us like $2.5 million. We could keep the company, build the product, and scale. And now we are really growth phase. So we think about maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year, we might raise a Series A. But right now we are doing fine. I mean, we have break even, so it's a big milestone for us. Like 6 months ago, and now we don't need actually the money, which is in a good position now, right?
But what the dynamic is often, like a Mercado Libre, or you're dealing with these kinds of companies, right? That scale. I guess in theory they could do what you're doing if the bank regulate them, couldn't they? I mean, you have that's the thing about you. I always describe it like being in the playground in school. Like if you're small, you can get bullied.
Yeah, and actually, Joe, one of my competitors, for example, they raised more than $50 million.
Yeah.
Which in the beginning we were like, wow, man, what we're gonna do? But as an YC advice, and I really trust that, they say, look, it's much more common for people to die of suicide.
Yes,
than exactly. So don't worry about them. I mean, and it's paying off. Right now we are actually making more connections than them, and for sure they have much more pressure also, right?
I think you're doing the right thing. So I want to talk to you a bit about finally then just about being an entrepreneur. I like everyone, like people on the outside, think it's a glamorous thing and that kind of stuff. I'm always interested, and this is a bit personal, so I hope you don't mind me asking, but what do your family make of it? You mentioned your wife, what does she, you have to cancel holidays and,
Yeah, I have to in the beginning of Pluggy, spent like 1 year and almost 1.5 years without any salary, for example. So it's a lot of things that you have to give up on life to build that. But I found out actually at IE just confirmed that I really, something that makes my passion is to build new things. I mean, it's something that I wake up in the morning and okay, I'm building something new. If I was working in a corporate, I think I would be miserable. So I always had that. Plug is my fourth company. Before that, I had some companies that one didn't work well. I mean, it was a disaster. The other one was okay. The third one was e-commerce, was really good, which I had a small exit, but was good enough for me. But my family supports me. I guess I was spoiled by my mother. So she always said that, oh, you are so smart.
Whatever Bruno does.
Yes, and everything I say, she was always supporting, which was great. She wasn't always right, but she was actually supporting me all the time, which is a lot of help. I mean, I appreciate that, and also my wife, she works in a corporate. She has her own job, and I told her, I mean, I risk it all, and
You have the base.
you have the base. Exactly, and that's working well so far. And I hope,
that's quite a common thing that couples make a decision that one person is, makes sure that there's a salary and like food in the table, and then the other person can go and do the other thing. But it's a shared risk. Yeah. If you have if Mercado Libre by Pluggy, which and has a nice 7 or 8 figure check, you can both share in that.
Definitely.
You can come to Madrid for 6 weeks or something.
I'd love to
and go crazy. So yeah, it is interesting to what that's like for people, because so many entrepreneurs, they just can't imagine not doing it.
Yeah,
and I tell people, like, unless that's how you feel, you just shouldn't, because it's not glamorous. It's not
glamorous at all, and it's like people think it's glamorous. I think on an event like this, everyone says, "Okay, your founder was super cool," but no.
The quote I like to use though is that the worst day working for yourself is better than the best day working for someone else.
It makes sense, definitely.
Yeah,
I'll copy that quote.
The whole kind of like I do a lot of things, and sometimes I'm tied up in a company, a project for a third company or something like that, and then I see the nonsense emails, and like somebody saying no, who is in no way qualified to make that decision, but because of seniority or budget or something like that. It happened to me this morning, and somebody was just like basically lazy, just kind of like, we don't have to do this, so we're not going to do it. And I just couldn't. I mean, I've seen it before, so I shouldn't have been surprised, but it's quite disappointing.
It is.
It's a kind of, I mean, that's the thing about, you are up against the wall, every time the salaries go out every month, the speed at which that comes around is frightening, but it's your mistakes, it's you're
accountable for that, and
also you
cannot blame anyone else.
Yes, you have an ability to solve it, and that is, I think, from a mental health point of view, better than having to sort of scream at somebody. And of course, the other thing is that, and it's a huge issue now among particularly executive MBA students, who are frustrated at kind of other people in the company taking credit for their work. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, imagine you're working in name big corporate, and literally you do all the work, and your boss...
Someone else would
credit.
Yeah.
They have more elbows, and, some people are kind of innocent. They're like, I just want to do the work, and they just get taken advantage of. Whereas as the founder of the company, you're the guy.
Yeah.
If it's a success, that you have made a success, and it's, and that has a huge kind of a value to.
Yeah, and also what I think I've learned a lot, it's about having the right partners. We started the conversation talking about partners, right? But I think this is my 4th venture, so I think one thing that I've learned is the first venture that all my partners are actually better than me in something,
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, putting smart people with you to go ahead. It's that's what I think Pluggy is growing, and they're accountable for their part, but everyone is responsible for to make this happen. So find the product market fit to grow. But it's interesting how it develops. I don't know. I don't think I can do anything else but work into myself and build new things.
Okay, we're getting close to the end, so can you talk to me just about a couple of things that like you recommend to people that you think they may not know about?
Well, I just finished this. It's old already, but I watched on Netflix the Spotify this series,
Yes.
Flash, the documentaries, and it's funny because you see a lot of things happening there that actually happens in our own company. So I really liked it. It's entertaining, and also there's a lot of a lot of lessons there, which I like in terms of building product, in terms of investor relationship, how you deal with your partners. There are a lot of things on the startup thing that was great on that show. And also, I'm reading some biographies. Some old, so that Steve Jobs biography. I finished like 2 weeks ago, it's great to see these great minds. I'm actually looking for a new book on this biography of good entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot. I mean,
Sure. And what about things more local? I mean, what kind of, do you have any Brazilian heroes? Do you have any kind of people that you look at that are more that because obviously for people who don't speak Portuguese or don't spend time in this world, like what are the people they need to know? I mean, I always ask what I call the Senna effect, because this time last year I interviewed a cousin of Ayrton Senna, and she was, I was sort of asking her, like, I want to talk about it. Are you tired of talking about it? And she said, no. She said, like,
she's probably a lot of proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And she just talked about, like, the importance of Brazil, a country finding its identity, such a big country that, and there's such a difference between, like, Porto Alegre and Sao da Bahia. And she just talked about what Senna, and I what I knew about was having watched the Senna documentary, but just that he was able to, just be so universally admired, that did a lot for the positive attitude in Brazil, that there was always this sort of fatalism that everything goes wrong every few years. I mean, I don't want to talk about like the 7-1 World Cup semi-final against Germany, is the...
I was at the stadium, by the way.
I mean, it's still one of the most incredible football games. I mean, it's incredible. Like, we're like kids.
What's going on? Everyone was like, it's unbelievable.
But so that was, I just wonder, are there like local heroes, and of course they're Brazilian entrepreneurs.
Yeah, maybe not only Brazilian, but since my market is the financial services, the banking industry, there are quite a few companies that are doing great here in Brazil in terms of
Nubank.
It's one example. David Vélez is Colombian.
Yeah,
but
he lives in Uruguay. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
interesting. Yeah, he lives in Montevideo. I know I'm probably not supposed to sort of revealing conferences and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just like half the Argentinian ecosystem lives in Madrid or Miami. That they like if you go to their LinkedIn profile, they say Buenos Aires, and they maybe spend like a week a month there or something like that. But I think David likes his he likes Montevideo. It's the Uruguayans are very kind of
the great those to be.
But they leave everybody alone. The ethic in the country is very much like, even if you're an entrepreneur and you saw him, it's cool to leave him alone.
Yeah.
So he kind of likes that. So what they've done is extraordinary. And I mean, maybe I should get you to say it. Like, what do you admire about Nubank?
Basically because it was a really concentrated oligopoly in Brazil in terms of bank. There were like 5 banks that had like 90% of all the deposits. And this guy came with a credit card, which like 10 years ago, no one actually would believe that a new bank would come here and change the status quo. And this guy just came, and I mean, today is the biggest bank in Brazil, number of customers.
We have a number of students actually in IE right now who used to work for it, and so it's been very interesting for me to hear them talk about what they do well.
Yeah, and although of course, they're not startup, but although they are the big bank already, but when you talk to, I never had made business with the bank, but we talked a lot. And it's incredible. Their employees, they have just a different mindset. Okay, you decide in one meeting if you go ahead with the partnership or not. While you talk to a big bank, like you talk to the director, then the intern, then the vice president. It comes back and forth for months and doesn't go anywhere. And when we have a startup, you know that it's like time is everything. So don't waste my time. You know, let's. And it's hard.
Yeah, no, that's some of the things they've said. But like it's funny, you can when things are working well, you can drive people harder.
Yeah.
Because it's a sort of there's a positive kind of atmosphere around it and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so sadly we're out of time, and so just to thank you very much for coming to speak with us, and thank you for your kind words on IE. It's always kind of nice to, as a professor, sometimes you wonder, is there anything do I have anything to teach these kids or anything like that? So it's sort of interesting that. So it's good to know that a company from the venture lab can get all the way to Y Combinator, and hopefully later in the year to a Series A. So
hopefully next time we talk here, we have a different style.
The other thing I always do is sort of invite people back to Madrid. So we must try and continue to find a way to do that.
Yeah, I'll be there for the 10 year.
Yeah,
for sure. So
for sure.
I'll be there.
So maybe actually what we might do is we'll do a fireside chat, another interview. Bruno and Joe live at the 10 year. No, because all your classmates will come then.
Yeah,
that is sort of the way of filling the room. So that was super interesting. Thank you so much, and best of luck with it.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks a lot.
This is Professor Joe Haslam again, just signing off to thank you for listening to the podcast. They're available on Amazon, they're available on Spotify, they're available on Apple, and they're available on iVoox. And please talk to your friends about them. Tell us what you liked and recommend them. We want to get these ideas spread, and they're a very important part of the community we're trying to build here at IE University. So thank you for listening to Venture Ahead.